And I'd like to recognize Scott Bowman for our invocation.
Please join me as we pray. Father, thank you so much for the day you've given us. Lord, thank you for everything you do for each and every one of us every day. Lord, just thank you so much for our schools, our teachers, and all of our staff. And Lord, just thank you for every child that's in our school system. And just keep a hedge about them, keep them safe, help us to do the things that will honor you first and foremost. And just help us tonight to make decisions that was best for every child in this county. Thank you again for everything you do for all of us. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. We have a first grader from Hidnight here, Bryant Fox, who's going to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Excuse me, Pledge of Allegiance. He's the son of Doug and Emily Fox. Hi, Bryant.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You did a great job. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Board members, you've had a chance to look over the agenda in your packets. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any additions, discussion? All those in favor of approval of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And now I would recognize Dr. Jennifer Hefner for our honors and recognitions portion of our meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's always my pleasure to present the honors and recognition portion of the board meeting. Tonight, we're going to honor 7 teachers who have successfully renewed their national board certifications. I would ask Vice Chair Bowman to please come up and help me. The first teacher that we will recognize, she's listed as Rebecca Dupuy, but I know her as Becky Dupuy, as we have known each other a very long time. Ms. Dupuy is a teacher at Alexander Central High School. She originally received her national board certification in 2008. She has been teaching at ACS for 17 years, and she entered the teaching profession 24 years ago. Here to celebrate with Becky tonight is her husband, Jimmy, and her daughter, Rachel. A round of applause, please. Okay, I retract that statement. They were here, and I just had someone tell me they had to leave. So Rachel has danced. Got it, got it. Well, I'm glad they were here for the reception. Okay, the second teacher that we will recognize is Christine Holman. She is also a teacher at ACHS. Ms. Holman originally received her national board certification in December 2006. She has been teaching in Alexander County Schools since 1997, which is totaling 20 years in the teaching profession. Please come forward, Ms. Holman. And if you will stay up here, we'll get a picture. Next, we will recognize Mary Beth Bumgarner. She's a teacher at the Alexander Early College. Ms. Bumgarner originally received her national board certification in December 2006. She has been teaching in Alexander County Schools since August 2002. This is her 15th year of teaching. Congratulations, Mary Beth. Next is Melanie Braswell, teacher at Hidnight Elementary School. Ms. Braswell originally received her national board certification in December 2006. That was a popular time, it sounds like. She's been teaching in Alexander County Schools since August 1997, which is 20 years in the teaching profession. Celebrating with her tonight is Melanie's mother, Susan Fox. Congratulations. Next, we have Shonda Barnes, teacher at Sugarloaf Elementary School. Ms. Barnes originally received her National Board certification in December 2006. She's been teaching in Alexander County Schools since 1998. This is her 19th year of teaching. Congratulations, Shonda. Next is Liz Cronin, teacher at Sugarloaf Elementary School. Ms. Cronin originally received her National Board certification in November 2007. She's been teaching in Alexander County Schools since August 2001. This is her 21st year in the teaching profession. Celebrating with her tonight is her mother, Ms. Dottie Carvelis, and her daughters, Juliana and Leah. Congratulations, Liz. And last, we will recognize Jamie Curtis, but Jamie could not be with us tonight. Ms. Curtis was unable to be here, but she originally received her National Board certification in 2007. She began teaching in Alexander County Schools in August 2002. She took a break to play mommy and then came back to us recently, but we would like to say congratulations to all of these folks renewing at this time. A job well done. At this time, I would invite Bridget Ryan to the podium to make some presentations with Education Foundation grants.
Thank you, Dr. Hebner. Ms. Hardis, will you help me with this, please? Are there any other Education Foundation members here tonight? Okay. This past December, the Education Foundation received a $1,000 anonymous grant in honor of Mr. Jack Hoke. We were asked to give this to teachers to help in their classrooms. With this in mind, we asked for teachers to submit applications for two $500 grants. We received several applications and would like to thank each one who submitted a grant application. The Foundation Selection Committee reviewed these applications, and on behalf of the Education Foundation, we would like to award the following. Dr. Bill Vinson and Ms. Natasha Haas submitted a grant titled The Writing Center at Alexander Central High School. Dr. Vinson writes in the application, "Currently, the Writing Center is housed in my classroom, which is in a relatively remote location in C Building. This location has frankly made it difficult for us to be visible and accessible. Starting in the 2017-2018 school year, the Writing Center will be moving to a room in the school's central wing, which will be more accessible location." He goes on to say, "In researching university writing centers, and it has always been our ambition to emulate collegiate workspaces, it is clear that writing center environments facilitate collaboration and self-expression in a way that is different from the traditional classroom. So our goal with this grant is to create such an environment by purchasing chairs, tables, lighting, or other accessories, and a coffee pot to give our writing center a socially academic atmosphere that is welcoming and inviting to students and conducive to writing consultation. We also hope to partner with the interior design program at ACS in this project to create a state-of-the-art writing center that contributes to our school writing goals and our atmosphere of excellence. This grant will be used to purchase furniture and design accessories." Congratulations, Dr. Benson and Ms. Haas. And I'm sure Renee will take just one picture. If y'all just want right here, she'll take a picture of the group. We have one more presentation. Writing our story in 4th grade was submitted by Miss Natalie Millsaps, teacher at Sugarloaf, Miss Laura Sprinkle, teacher at Ellendale, and Mr. David Norton, teacher at Wittenberg. Along with their principals and instructional coaches, these teachers are striving to find new ways to increase rigor and student learning. As a county, we are learning that our graduating students are not prepared for the rigor of writing at the college level. I can attest to that. I have college students. We know that this instruction starts at the elementary school. Our system has made writing practices, standards, and goals a major focus this year. We are asking for funding to bring Joyce Hostetter, a local author, to the county as part of a day of writing instruction and celebration. During this day, Ms. Hostetter will present her story as an author to a large group and meet with each school group individually to answer questions. Various writing activities will be set up in stations for students to help develop their love of writing. Congratulations, fourth grade, and I believe we have fourth grade teachers from Sugarloaf accepting this award.
Congratulations.
I would like to thank everybody on behalf of the Education Foundation for those that submitted grant applications, because without you submitting it, we can't give the money. So we also want to thank our anonymous donor for this donation. Our selection committee was Miss Sally Hardis, Misty Oxentine, and Shannon Presnell. So a great round of applause to them for taking the time to do that.
We're going to start the business portion of our meeting. We'll move into public comment. If anybody wants to stay for that and the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to. If you want to make an exit, I think if there's people out in the hallway that want to be seated, they can move some folks in. So it might just be a minute or two till we're ready to move to public comment. Okay, I think we're good. In December of 2016, just a couple months ago, the board amended policy 2310. And so there's a couple of changes to it. I've read this before. For those of you that have been at public comment, it's a little bit different. The time's a little bit shorter so that we could try and accommodate more people that wanted to address the board. So as typical for any meeting where we have folks signed up for public comment, I'll read the procedures and then we'll take the first speaker. We have 4 speakers signed up. Karen Martin is the first speaker. So let me get through this and then you can take the podium. Pursuant to Policy 2310, each person signed up to speak will have 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. Each person signed up to speak will only be entitled to the time allotted to them and may not relinquish their time to another speaker. Only one spokesperson will be allowed to speak for a group of individuals wishing to address the board on the same issue. Speakers will be acknowledged by the board chairman in the order that their names appear on the sign-up sheet. Speakers will address the board from the front of the room and begin their remarks by stating their names. Comments that are deemed obscene, profane, or personal attacks on a board member or school employee will be cause for the ending of a particular speaker's time as determined by the board chairman. Persistence in such remarks by an individual shall terminate that person's privilege to address the board. Public comment to the board is not intended to require the board to answer impromptu questions. Speakers will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual member of the board. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Speakers shall not discuss any of the following matters which are protected under statute. Matters that concern the candidacy of a person seeking public office, matters that are closed session matters, including but not limited to matters within attorney-client privilege, anticipated or pending litigation, personnel, individual student concerns, or property acquisition. Speakers will be courteous in their language and presentations. So before Ms. Martin takes the podium, I would like to say we have a sea of yellow shirts here, and we're very glad to see it. The board had a lovely, I think, very productive meeting yesterday with the Sugarloaf school improvement team, and we hope to continue those dialogues. So we appreciate seeing you all here. Enjoyed our visit yesterday. Ms. Martin?
Good evening. I'm Karen Martin. This is a copy of the facilities study which all of you received last month. It contains information stating what needs to be updated and repaired at all of the elementary schools in the county. The issues addressed in this study need to be the school board's top priority. However, it came to my attention last week that the school board will have before them a proposal shortly to update the baseball field for a mere $0.5 to $1 million. As a taxpayer in this county and a parent of a student in the school system, I'm extremely offended that this would even be brought up at this time, especially when you're considering closing 1 or 2 of our elementary schools. Some people may say an improved athletic facility would bring in more revenue. If this is true, let that money pay for the update to the facility. Do not put money into athletic facilities when our academic facilities, better known as elementary schools, are in dire need of repair. Our children need to feel safe and secure in the schools they are attending. If they don't, they cannot concentrate on what they're trying to learn. This will cause them to have poor grades. Then, because of poor grades, they will not be allowed to participate in any type of athletic program, therefore negating the need to update any athletic facility. If the board votes to spend money to update this or any other athletic facility without first updating and repairing our elementary schools, the board will have to change its motto from children first to athletics first, because that is exactly what the board will be showing to every taxpayer and student in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Liz Cronin?
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Hefner, thank you for this opportunity to address you on behalf of the staff at Sugarloaf. We greatly appreciate your openness to meet with our school improvement team yesterday and to discuss the inconsistencies in the DPI facility study. It is my hope that through this presentation, you will see what the study failed to mention. Walls and buildings do not make a school. The exposed pipes and multiple electrical systems do not challenge and inspire young minds. It's the people, the principals, the teachers, the custodians and bus drivers, cafeteria workers and students that make the school. At Sugarloaf, there's been a lot of next years. Next year, this will be fixed, or next year, you'll get that. But next year hasn't come. And although that's not okay, it has not stopped the Sugarloaf staff from providing the best, most nurturing environment for our students. Yes, our gym is the smallest in the county, but in that gym, our PTO raises over $10,000 annually for educational and facility needs. Our playground was funded by pennies years ago. You know the saying, ask and you shall receive? Well, that's true of the Sugarloaf PTO. They don't deny a request brought to them. These are just some of the things the PTO has done for our school. Provides honorable reward trips, purchases a 25-device computer lab, built a shade shelter for our playground, extended the fence so that playground equipment doesn't go over the hill, provides yearly financial support for classroom supplies. The facility study mentioned wooden walkways and noisy HVAC systems, but couldn't demonstrate the value the staff has in academic success. Due to the generosity of our community and the Campbell Media Fund, Sugarloaf has more books per student on average than any school in the county. Sugarloaf has 26 books per student, while the county has 19. Out of our 15 teachers, 9 are national board certified, 2 of which were being honored this evening for renewing their certificate. 11 of us hold advanced degrees, which enables us to provide differentiated strategies to meet our students' ever-changing needs. 88% of the staff's children attend school or have graduated from Sugarloaf. These graduates went on to various branches of the military and neighboring universities such as NC State, LR, Gardner-Webb, UNC, App State, just to mention a few. 6 former Sugarloaf stars are in the legacy class at Alexander Early College, and 5 of those are on the Beta Club. Sugarloaf alumni continue to shine academically at East Alexander Middle School, ACS, and receive numerous awards, recognitions, and college scholarships. The value we place on education reaches beyond the success on EOGs. Sugarloaf is a family. We celebrate and support each other and mourn together. Our school community continues to bring 14,000 canned goods to the Christian Crisis Center, raises money for the American Heart Association and Relay for Life. Our small school reaches out to hurricane victims far from the homes and fire victims nearby.
Ms. Cronin, if you could wrap it up, thank you.
In closing, we are wearing our Sugarloaf Strong t-shirts that demonstrate who we are. We love each other. No matter how big or small the obstacles we have, we overcome them. As a school, we have continually shown academic success, and the students and staff create forever friendship. Our family invites you to join in developing a plan for our future that will continue to bless our community, our county, and the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Chapman.
Thank you, board, administrators. Thank you for the time, and really nothing that I can say or add to anything that Miss Cronin, I'm sorry, hadn't already said. And I've got speaking points here, but don't really feel need to address them. In my 6 years with Sugarloaf, I was elected PTO president this past year. I had the opportunity to work with some really great moms and dads, grandparents, and we got a lot accomplished. And I know your study, that this DPI facility study, it's told you a lot of statistics. It's talked about our architectural problems. It's talked about our fire and safety problems. It referred to our cafeteria and our gymnasium problems. And I understand that. But there's one thing in particular that the DPI can't tell you, and that is what it is to be a family at Sugarloaf in the community. I have served in several capacities as a substitute teacher, as a volunteer, as a proctor, as a mentor, a coach, and currently now as a PTO officer. And I can give you some advice, and it's free tonight. And it would be simply this: you would be making a huge mistake by even considering closing Sugarloaf Elementary School. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jennifer Brown.
Members of Alexander County Board of Education and audience, my name is Jennifer Brown. I'm a resident of the Sugarloaf community, serve on the Sugarloaf Parent Advisory Council, and have 2 children who have attended Sugarloaf Elementary School. My husband and I have often observed how fortunate we feel that our children have been treated as people at Sugarloaf Elementary, not as a number, not as an EOG score, but as an individual in need of education, as well as care and love. The teachers at Sugarloaf are exceptional, with 9 of 17 board certified and 12 with master's degrees. The academic success of Sugarloaf has led the county year after year. In the past 14 years, Sugarloaf has been recognized as a school of excellence, a school of distinction. Also, a B rating was achieved in the 2014-15 school year, which made Sugarloaf the only school in the district to achieve this status. Recently, the facility survey and recommendations report evaluated the school system in terms of enrollment, capacity, and facility suitability. Unfortunately, for the Sugarloaf community as well as the Taylorsville community, the recommendation is for one or both of these schools to close. School reformers may boast that these closings are for financial gains for the school district. However, research shows countless examples where the money saved is less than projected or non-existent, while most students fail to show growth academically in their new schools. An article published in the Washington Post in 2013 shares an account where the chancellor of the public schools in our nation's capital decided to close 23 under-enrolled schools. She proclaimed that money would be saved, but years later, an audit found that the closings all actually cost the city $40 million. Most parents in the public see schools as community institutions, and the consequences of closing them is seen as a defeat in the community and as a sense of loss. Most parents and citizens nationwide have a hard time understanding why leaders do not do more to fix the schools as opposed to closing them. Are you aware of the community outreach that takes place at Sugarloaf? Examples include the Canned Food Drive, Christmas for Kids, Fallen Heroes Project, Money for Hurricane Matthew victims. The PTO is active at meeting the students' and teachers' needs. There's no denying the renovation needs to occur in the 1958 section, the gym, and the cafeteria. The suggestions made recently by the Pinnacle Architecture firm are the same recommendations that have been made by Sugarloaf's leadership since 2003. The parents, students, and teachers, unfortunately, are concerned that their needs are not met and their voices have been heard, but yet ignored when it comes to renovating these sections of the campus. In conclusion, have you calculated the true implication of this dramatic change? Geographically, Sugarloaf makes the most sense to keep open and renovate. Your website states that the future of Alexander County schools includes student success and collaborative communities. Will the decision that you make about Sugarloaf reflect this statement? I'm asking that you make the facility improvements and upgrades at Sugarloaf Elementary to provide the students with a quality learning environment and a community that will serve students and families for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have on for public comment, and we look forward to hearing from folks in the future. We're going to move on to approving our consent agenda. Board members, you've had a chance to look at the consent agenda items in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Now we're moving on to the report section. Ms. Stillwell.
I'm not alone. I had a little group with me today because I felt like today's presentation would be better if it was a collaborative effort between some of my staff members and myself. Again, if I don't know you, I know there's a lot of Sugarloaf people here that I don't know. I'm Renee Still. I'm the principal at Hidnight. And with me, I have Lisa Orr. She's a second grade teacher. I have Susan Dyson. She's the assistant principal. I have Sarah Carter. She's our hearing impaired teacher. I have Amy Chapman, which is my counselor. And I have Jamie Jones, which is my social worker. The first thing we're going to talk about Hidnight is the fact that we have really changed our vision and our mission to reflect our belief that all students I can't see everybody, but can y'all hear me? Okay. All students can learn. All students can and will learn at Hidnight, and we hold the students to high expectations for that. So this year we changed our vision, and our vision is to create a positive learning environment for our students, but yet we want our students to realize that we want them to become lifelong learners. So we want them to have a commitment to reach their full potential. We believe that all students have genius. So we created a mission statement that we say every morning before school starts as a staff. And our mission statement has the words lead down the side. It's at Hidnight Elementary School, we create a love of learning, recognize everyone has genius, accept differences, and dream big. And we truly believe that for our students. Hidnight Elementary became a first-year Leader in Me model school this year. Through the Leader in Me process, we are developing leaders with 21st century skills. The Leader in Me is an innovative school-wide model that enables educators to unleash each child to its full potential. To do this, we teach students the 7 hero habits, which you can see on the slide. The habits were developed by Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey has created these habits to prove that students can lead to growth in your community and within your school by creating students to be leaders. The Leader in Me paradigm sees that every child is capable, every child is a leader, and it changes everything in your building from the inside out. And that's the reason that we chose to become a Leader in Me school. We felt like our students needed to be changed from the inside out. So to begin, I'm going to have Lisa Orr, and she's going to talk a little bit about how we teach our students about Leader in Me.
Okay. At Hidnight, we feel like not only should the students hear about the 7 habits, but they should also use them in their daily routine. So every morning, we have what we call lead time. Everyone in the school is actually doing activities that relate to the 7 habits. We use literature. We have different activity books that the kids use, and it's by grade level. We have the 7 habits of happy kids that just has different stories, and we can talk about the different habits and what they mean. And normally we take 1 habit a month and just work to where they can just really become familiarized with it. There's other little books that we use. And not only do we use this type of literature, we also use in our reading activities. We may say, okay, what did we do? What did this character do? How did this character how was this character proactive? We use different activities. Okay. If you can look over here, we set goals, and in my classroom this week, we made a classroom goal. I looked at data last week. I have 17 students, which 11 of them passed their spelling with 80 or above. So what we did was I sat down with them Monday, and we were just looking at things we could do to improve our spelling grades. And we talk about those, and I've got a poster up in the room, and we talk about it every day. What can you do? How can you help your fellow classmates and things to make a better goal for yourself and for a class? There are different activities that take place. We have accountability partners. Each classroom, students have accountability partners, and they can just ask them, say, okay, what do we do? Or if we look at one who is not being accountable, so to speak, you've got someone who you can go to and say, okay, what can I do better? Or how can I improve? And then teamwork. One of the things is synergize. We really stress synergizing. And one of the little activities that we did, we just had them all take their shoes off. They got in different groups. They worked together to see who could build the highest shoe tower. And I love it. My kids have really excelled with the way they feel about themselves. And I love Leader in Me as a school.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is, we're doing Leader in Me because we feel like students need to become leaders and we need to work on them from the inside out. But integrating with Leader in Me, we're also integrating PBIS because PBIS is something that we do as a district and as a state. And so Ms. Dyson's going to talk about how we integrate Leader in Me and some of the things we're doing for PBIS.
And that's been one of the challenging things, I think, because last year, I don't think we fully implemented PBIS or carried it out in the way that it probably should have been carried out as we concentrated on Leader in Me. But this year, we are focusing on that. We do have a newly formed team. And some of the things that are listed here are just some of the priorities that we have made this year. First of all, again, was to create a brand new PBIS team, update the signage throughout the school. And as you can see here, you can see one of those there. This one's for the playground, what you do at assemblies, classroom, bathrooms, hallways, all of those. We've created those things for this year. That's one of the things we've done. Create a PBIS reference handbook, and that is something I have been working collaboratively with both Hidnight as well as Bethlehem on this so that we both have a PBIS handbook. Our folks have asked, what can we do to help new staff members that come to know what you do? What are the procedures? How do you fill out an office referral? What do you do, or how do you teach those expectations? So that's something we've put together. Still have things that we want to add to this, but we're excited at the fact that we have something ready to roll out for our staff. It's also a good reference for those who've been there for quite a while as well. We review and report behavior data on a quarterly basis. So at the end of each grading period, we're doing that. We continue recognition of positive behavior through positive office referrals and hero cards. And then we have some of the new things, that particularly this year, implementation of lead time, as Ms. Orr has already mentioned. We also have started getting ready to start a Genius Hour, and Ms. Carter will share a little bit more about that. And one of my most exciting things has been able to start a superhero celebration, which we do monthly, and we are also doing Bus Rider of the Month recognition. So if you'll go to the next slide, Ms. Stillwell. Here you can see two of those examples of those celebrations. We just had our Bus Rider of the Month recognized in February's today, and you can see those students who were recognized this morning and with breakfast. Our superheroes, we have letters from both our teachers as well as our bus riders that present letters to our students and certificates. And here's an example of our superhero certificate for those of you out there that might like to see that. And I think the superhero thing has been neat because not only does it show how well our teachers know their students, not just academically, but on a personal level. And this first one will probably be a little bit more difficult because this is one that I happened to be in Ms. Stillwell's office. We were discussing something and I had a parent come in and she says, "You just don't know what this has meant to my daughter." And so I'm going to read this particular letter to you and what the teacher had to say. This is from Nicole Scoggins to one of her fourth graders. "Tariana is a joy to have in my class. She enters the room each day with a smile on her face and always with a positive attitude. When thinking of Tariana, a Shakespeare quote comes to mind. Though she be little, she is fierce." And she happens to be the second one on that first row up there beside the little boy with the blue shirt. "She is a kind, sweet little girl, but she can also take charge when needed. Tariana is a great leader and a role model for her classmates. Thank you for being amazing. Congratulations for being our November superhero." That really spoke well, that parent acknowledged the things that the teacher is pointing out about her child. And yes, this child will become and do great things, I'm sure. This one is one from February that we just had recently. Riley is our little Miss Sunshine. She comes in every morning with a smile on her face and makes sure she speaks to her teachers when she walks in the door. Riley has a smile to give to others even when she does not feel her best. She has never spoken an unkind word to another person in our room. She is a giving person and always willing to share with others. Riley is a wonderful example of begin with the end in mind. Sometimes it takes her a little longer to grasp a concept, but she never gives up. She will dig in and work like a Trojan until she understands what's being taught. This has made Riley a cheerleader for others. She encourages others who struggle and tells them that they will get it if they keep trying. Riley deserves to be the superhero for February because she thinks of others and is a friend to all. She is quite the leader, she is a quiet leader, but she leads by example. So those are just some of the things that are coming about with this. And we use this superhero celebration a lot in lieu of some of the other award kinds of things that we've done in the past at Hidnight. And I can tell you that the parents are accepting this with open arms. They are loving it, and they come out for those presentations. I think you've been out there, Mr. Odom, for that. So again, if you get that opportunity, we have a couple more. So I'd welcome you to come and join and celebrate with us. But those are some of the special things that we're doing to tie in with some of the Leader in Me and to keep PBIS rolling at Hidnight.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Now Sarah Carter's going to come forward and talk about one of my most favorite things that we're getting ready to start, and that is Genius Hour.
So at Hidnight, just like the rest of the county, we have a very diverse population of students. We have a lot of EC students with high needs. We have children from low socioeconomic backgrounds. We have English language learners, you name it. And, you know, not all of these students have strengths in academics. But as Renee mentioned earlier, part of our Hidnight motto is that everyone has a genius, and we truly believe that. So Genius Hour is our way of honoring that part of our motto. And it actually started from Google. They believed that allowing employees to work an hour a day on a special interest project made for more productive employees. And that's actually how Gmail was created. So we obviously won't be spending an hour a day on special interest projects because there's way too many other things to do. But what we've done is taken this concept and we've adapted it to meet our needs at Hidnight. So what does our Genius Hour look like? We have decided to create clubs. And we've also honored our teachers at Hidnight because we let them pick their geniuses. Some of them had a lot of trouble, but we got there eventually, and our teachers picked things that they were really good at, and we decided to share those with our students through clubs. So we have them divided up, kindergarten through second grade and third through fifth. We have a few clubs you can see, like Spanish and Sign Language, gardening, and Bible, that run K-5. And if you look at this list, we have a huge variety of clubs that we're going to do. It covers a lot of different areas. Go to the next one. So our first one is actually next Wednesday. I really wish we had had one before this, but that's okay. We are getting a lot of positive feedback from our students, and I am seeing a lot of really great collaboration among staff members as well, not just on academic stuff, but in planning for things for students to do for these clubs. They've really taken it and run with it to try to make this a very fun, engaging learning experience for our students. And these are just a few of the many comments that we have gotten from students. Some of them definitely want to do it every day. Some students had trouble choosing their favorite club. We have a kindergarten student. He already knows that his genius is science, and he is going to be a scientist. And we actually had one student during our assembly. He told me that he already knows Spanish, and he said amigos. And that was his word that he knew in Spanish. So that was already his genius. So he was going to pick a different club so that he could have a new genius. As you can see, our students are super excited about it. Our staff is very excited about it. So we really look forward to starting this journey and, giving our students this confidence boost through helping them find their genius outside of the academic setting. Thank you.
And I'm doing cosmetology, so I have been really watching some YouTube videos on how to do your hair and makeup. Hey, it's going to be my genius, even if it's not yet. So now I'm going to introduce Amy Chapman and Jamie Jones, and we just want to talk about, I want them to talk a little bit about why our motto changed and what we're doing differently at Hidden Night.
Hi. So Ms. Chapman and I are going to speak to you a little bit about how at Hidden Night Elementary School, we strive to cater to the whole child, meaning that we not only focus on academic proficiency, but we also assess and address the social, emotional, and physiological needs of the students. This concept can be most easily explained from the theory of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which posits that in order for us as humans to function and progress towards fulfilling our full potentials, we must first satisfy our most basic needs. These needs in order of importance are physiological things like food, water, and sleep. Safety, meaning housing, physical security, and familial stability. Love and belonging, so our intimate and social relationships, and namely creating healthy attachments. And our self-esteem, self-efficacy, and realizing that we all have strengths. Once children have had those needs met, then they can begin working towards self-actualization. Or in an academic sense, they'd be more likely to be able to focus, understand material, and retain classroom instruction. For kids who live in high-stress environments, who may not know where their next meal is coming from or where they're going to sleep that night, are more likely to have or to experience academic difficulties than their peers whose needs are being regularly and consistently met. Ms. Chapman and I work on a team with our school nurse to identify these children and families who need help in meeting these needs. We assess where they're at and any relevant barriers for those who we have identified, and we work to address them through a number of different interventions. As the school social worker and with Ms. Chapman as the counselor, sometimes it's linking families with some local agencies to help them with monetary assistance, food, medical care, mental health counseling, and things like that. We can also directly provide some items like when a child or family needs clothing, food, hygiene supplies, or even beds to sleep in. Part of being successful at school means actually being at school. In an effort to enforce compulsory attendance, I have an opportunity to reach out and engage parents, assess reasons for absences, and sometimes I find out that there may be medical conditions involved with that. I sit down with Nurse Mayberry and the parent, and we work to create a plan and to look at how this may be impacting the child's schooling and if we need greater medical care plans or look into 504s. Being privy to personal information also puts us in the perfect position to help advocate for the families and students, not only in their ability to access education, but their rights within the greater community. Ms. Chapman provides counseling services to students individually and in groups to support their emotional needs and to teach them appropriate social skills and conflict resolution. She also helps provide professional support and development for faculty and staff to encourage school-wide empathy and caring. I will now pass things along to Ms. Chapman, who will explain a little further.
I just want to take just a minute and tell you thank you for hiring social workers in our county. I feel so blessed to work with this lady right here that I just need to say thank you. We needed them for a long time. I've only been in the counseling field for 2 years as of March, but we work so well together, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. I want to first say, I want to talk about a kindness week that I had started last year. I decided that it would be a good thing to take a week out of the year and promote kindness throughout the school. So this year I added on to it, and I wanted everybody to try to do at least 30 acts of kindness. Unfortunately, it didn't go as well as I had planned it to. Or I didn't get my forms back like I wanted to. But the thing that I was most excited about was my Mix It Up lunch. Mix It Up lunch is where we take the kids and we put them with different people than they normally sit with. It gave them a chance to interact with, other students that they might not normally socialize with. And I did a survey and I got some feedback back that I was so excited about, other than, changing some people wanted to change the lunch menu for the day. That's how they would have made it better. But I don't know if we could hardly do that, but they were really excited about it. They had questions on the table to where it gave them some things like, for example, if you could eat lunch with anybody, who would it be? If you could go on vacation anywhere, where would it be? And it just gave them some, times to interact with some people that they might have not have normally interacted with. We also took a time to raise some money for the Christian Crisis Center. Jamie and I talked, and we were like, where do we want, our school-wide service project to go to if we were to collect money for somewhere? The Christian Crisis Center helps us out in so many ways, and so we thought that we would give back to them. We raised over $500 for them by a coin collection with the whole school. And, well, as you know, she talked about the attendance. We decided that we needed to do something to try to boost our attendance at Midnight. I remember when I came there, one thing that she had said to me is like, what are you going to do to improve attendance? I'm like, I don't know. But because it is, bless them, they just don't want to be there. So we decided together, Jamie and I was glad to have someone to help me, but we did a Midnight Attendance Heroes. And what that entailed was we took a bulletin board, we put perfect attendance up there, and every time that each classroom would get perfect attendance for the day, they would move their little superhero across the board. And when they got to at the end of perfect and the end of the attendance, then we celebrated it. But one thing we did to begin with is Jamie, being as talented as she is, she designed a skit that me and her used some superhero puppets, and we showed the school on why it was so important for us to be at school. I wish I had a chance to show it to you. I think she sent it out to some of you guys, so it was kind of cute. But we had classroom dance parties at the end of the week, and we've also developed a flyer to send home with parents and with tips to improve their child's attendance. She's also been working on some attendance contracts and things like that with parents as well. Some other initiatives that we have started just this year, we've had the closed closet, but we also have a hygiene pantry to where if families need shampoos, soaps, things like that they can come to the school and we would be able to provide that for them. We also, Jamie, in the basement of her home, has been able to have things like beds and couches and things like that she is keeping there. If you know of anywhere that she could store those, that would be great. She'd love to get them out of her basement. And something else that we started is we started a benevolence fund to where that we could help families out if they needed help with their power bill, as well as field trips and things like that. We work, of course, at Christmas. And another thing that I have done for the last couple of years and working with community is a career day. I have been able to work with Chad Pennell in getting lots of local different careers to come out to our school. It's been a great success for the past 2 years, and he's excited about doing it again. So thank you again for having us.
Very good. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without him. So I get to go over the fun stuff, the data. No, but before I talk about data, and I'm going to go through it really quick. The reason why I wanted them to talk about the things they've talked about is because I truly feel like what Jamie said. This quote says it all. They can only learn if their minds and their hearts, if they're filled with trauma and anxiety, we have to show them that we care. We have to build relationships with our students because a lot of our students come from that atmosphere. So with building those relationships, we are also teaching our students empathy, and we are teaching them how to get along with others. So although the data is important, I feel like if we grow our students' self-confidence and if we help them learn to be better people inside, our data is going to grow automatically. So our data didn't look as good as we wanted it to look at the end of the year. Our students didn't make growth for the first time since I've been there. And that is one of the reasons why we came up with what we've talked about, is we felt like we needed to build our students. We needed to give them confidence. We needed them to know that they can be better. So this is just a snapshot of our data. We made growth in certain grade levels, but in most of the grade levels, we did not make growth. So we decided to purchase the program. The middle schools are using this program. It's called MAP. And MAP is a program where our students take reading assessment and a math assessment, and then they also progress monitor. And so one of the reasons why we chose MAP is from this quote right here, because MAP says that their data shows that they can, with 82% accuracy in ELA and with 85% accuracy in math, predict who's going to pass the EOG. 82 and 85 are pretty high percent accuracies that they have nationwide. So we felt like it would be a good program to use to help gauge our kids. Well, we had some bumps. We haven't learned everything that we need to learn. This is the first year, so we're just learning about it. But there are some great things that it does. I just want to show you. This is an example. It gives us a report that tells us what our kids will score at the end of the year. This is an example of that report. It breaks it down and says, these students will score a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. So it predicts their scores. Our teachers are able to take this and provide intervention for those students. It also gives an individual report. And what I love about this report is it tells how the students scored based on national norms, but it also tells the teachers what the students need to work on. Specifically, the student needed to work on geometry, and it gives them suggested areas. And this is an example of the graph that shows where the student is expected to be at the end of the year on the EOG. So this student is expected at the end of the year to make a level 2. So as you can see, the expectation growth line. So it's pretty good data for us. We also started something new with our SST, which is our student support team. We decided that we're meeting on all these students in tiers, and our student support team is meeting, but we want to follow those students. So this is our follow-up document. And on the left is where we blacked them out, where the student names are, and then the teacher. And then what did we say we were going to do and what actually happened? So this shows us the progression of our students that are struggling and what has happened with those students over the years. So this is a great piece of data. We are pretty proud up to this point that the students that have came through our SST team, they've all qualified. Our data has been real, and our data has shown exactly what the students were struggling in. And so that's something that I feel like our teachers do a great job with. The last thing I want to share with you, if you haven't been in my building since last year, you haven't seen, it doesn't look the same because we've made lots of environmental changes. We have added lots of color. One of the things that we talked about as a staff before we started this year was our building needs to be friendly for kids. Kids need to want to come to school. If we're going to improve attendance, if we're going to improve behavior, we need them to want to be here. So as you can see, we have lots of color in our building now. Also, outside each classroom, everybody has a mission statement for their classroom, which I think is very important. Also, every classroom has outside their room why they love Hiddenite Elementary. The students have told why they love Hiddenite, and that's posted outside their classroom. So I want to end with just this quote. The only way forward is if we are going to improve the quality of the environment is to get everyone involved. And I think that's something that we've done at Hiddenite. I think that we've got our entire staff involved, our custodians, everybody. And I feel like that has changed our environment. It's going to change our students and our community. So do you have any questions? Anybody?
Great presentation.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you all for coming.
Enjoyed that for them.
Moving on to our next report, I'd recognize Susan Gant. She's the Director of CTE and Secondary Education.
Okay. Miss Stillwell, can I have?
Oh, I have to take them.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Hefner and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to give you a little update on 3 different CTE areas. And yes, it is 3, but I promise I will be brief.
The first one is that we were selected this year to have a monitoring for compliance audit. The second are our CTE pathways with CVCC that we have been working on, and articulated credit. So I'll start with the monitoring for compliance audit. Career and technical education in North Carolina is governed by 3 sources of regulatory authority. The Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Improvement Act of 2006 provides federal funding. And then the North Carolina General Assembly and the North Carolina Board of Education set policy and provide state funding. So those are our 2 sources of funding, state and federal. All 3 sources require that we monitor for compliance and that DPI provide technical assistance to us in our areas. So monitoring for compliance is an essential part of accountability that ensures that all school districts in North Carolina and school officials adhere to the appropriate regulatory requirements. We are monitored in 2 ways. One is our annual local plan, which, if you recall, I bring to you every June for review and approval. So that is revised annually. We each have regional coordinators in North Carolina, so our regional coordinator checks over our annual plan and just kind of monitors through to make sure things look correct. That also includes budget proposals. The other is our monitoring for compliance visits. Now, our regional coordinators will use our local plan to assess each LEA if they're a high risk or low risk for non-compliance issues. So if you're a low risk, then you should be good. You won't have an on-site audit or visit except every 6 years. If for some reason they deem you a high risk, then you could be audited a little more frequently. This is our first audit since I've been in this position 5 years now, so we're pretty low risk, and I hope to keep it that way. The audits are performed by 2 of our regional coordinators. Marty Toby serves as the regional coordinator for the Northwest region, so he's ours, and then Lisa Conger is the Western region coordinator, so she came over to assist Marty. I have to get used to using a clicker, sorry. The way the monitoring for compliance visit works is Marty Toby came over for an interview in December. The interview, he just sat with me. We went over the document that they use to monitor. And I did not include this in your packet because of its length. But obviously I have one. This is our final copy. So if you would like to see this, I can make this available to you. But he brought the blank document over so that we could look at what areas that they're going to audit us in, and so that I could go ahead and be pulling the documentation required, so that when they came January the 24th for the visit, some of that documentation was already ready and we didn't have to run around that day pulling information. So they came, Marty and Lisa came and spent the day going through all of our documents, especially our purchase orders and all the financial aspects that we have in our budgets. So a week later, on January the 30th, he sent back our audit review and our 2-page summary of findings. And I did include that in your board packet. I didn't include it on the slide because it would be too hard to read from that distance anyway, but you do have it in your board packet. I would like to summarize that they did give us 8 commendations. Our Live House project is one, because we are one of the few LEAs in the state that still do a Live House project. So that was a commendation. Also, our technical attainment scores, and that's basically where our students are proving proficient on our post-assessments, our performance indicators, and then again, our purchase orders and our financial documents. We did have 5 non-compliance issues, which I'll come back to, and then we had 6 recommendations. Some of the recommendations included our web page, updating our web page, providing a little more information, maybe some pictures, trying to show off a little more. And I will admit, web page design, web page maintenance are not my strong suit. So I'm working on someone to do that for me because we do want it to look good and show off our program. We'll also work on increasing internships and hopefully some credential opportunities for students. So the non-compliance issues, we did have 5 non-compliance issues, which is actually pretty low. They fall into 2 categories. One was non-discrimination statements, We haven't had any issues of discrimination, but because we do receive federal funding, we are required to provide non-discrimination statements in the local newspaper, which we will do annually from now on in August. And then also on letterhead, websites, any publications that we put out. So that change has already been made. And the one in the newspaper will go out in August. The other category is fiscal. And I know that finances is the worst place to get into trouble. So I am happy to say I listen to Sharon Mahaffey. I talk to her often to make sure I don't get in trouble with financial matters. But I will say that the areas that we were deemed non-compliant were fairly minor. The first one is, in the past, I had been providing snacks for a parent meeting for nursing fundamentals. I'd also been providing snacks to students when they took the work keys assessment, because that's a 3-hour assessment. I cannot purchase snacks with my state and federal funding, so we will no longer buy snacks. That one was easy. And then we did I paid for some wiring for the building that our lab needed. The lab needed it, so I paid for it. Because it is part of a building, I can't use federal funds for that. So we've worked out how to remedy that situation as well. And then because my position is split between CTE and secondary curriculum a little bit, then the administrative assistant that works with me also must be split. So we had to make that, take that action. And then the last one was for credential money. For the past 2 years, the state of North Carolina has given us money to help support students in earning credentials, but they give it to us in our state allotment. In our state allotment, we can't cut checks to students for that, or to their parents if they've paid for the credential. So I moved the money into a local account so that we could cut checks out of it. And they don't like that, because then they can't monitor it from the state when I move it to a local account. So we had to change that one. So we can purchase vouchers for some of the testing that has to take place, or we'll have to work out a way to reimburse them if they pay for their credential first. So we will still continue to do that. We can assist students in earning their credentials. So I also included in your packet the letter of resolutions, which basically says what I just went over. I had to have that back to Mr. Toby by March the 1st. So I sent that in, and then 2 days later, I believe Dr. Hefner received one too, but on March the 3rd, I received our letter of closure, which says that our resolutions were approved and accepted, and that we're good to go, that our case or whatever has been closed. And again, there was nothing that flagged us. This was just our 6th year. It was just time for us to have an audit. So do you have any questions on the audit process or that information? No. Excellent. All right. Moving on. CTE pathways at CVCC. And these are things that we have been working on for a little while. We are trying to provide opportunities for our students. So we want them to be able to, as juniors and seniors, take advantage of CCP classes that we offer. So last year we offered 4 new programs. Actually, it was in last year's registration material. So for this current school year, we had 4 new opportunities for the kids. That was a complete pathway. The first 2, business administration and fire protection technology, are basically online. So those students take those classes online, so they can stay at school. They could even do them from home if they wanted to. We currently, we didn't have any students to participate in the business administration certificate this year. We do have 2 students in the fire protection technology program. The last 2, welding technology certificate and turf grass management certificate, are seated classes that we offer, that are offered at the Alexander Center. So students leave the high school, and again, they have to be juniors or seniors to qualify for this, but they can leave the high school and go over to Alexander Center for these classes. And again, turf grass management was offered. We had 3 students that were interested in this, which was not enough for CVCC to provide an instructor. So that class did not make this year. It is included in the registration material, so hopefully it will make next year, and we'll be able to offer that. We do have students currently in the welding technology certificate program. We started with 11, but then we had some issues with the building. As you know, the welding program is in the applied technology building, and they were not able to get in there and actually start welding until February the 20th. So all of first semester, they did bookwork. And when you have students that are interested in a welding program, and they have to do bookwork for a semester, it's kind of hard to keep them entertained and want to be there. Thankfully, we had an excellent teacher who really motivated them and kept them encouraged. So they got all the bookwork out of the way so that when February the 20th rolled around and they got into the lab, they've started welding and they haven't stopped since. So, and I was over there a couple of days ago and they were not happy that I interrupted class to take a picture because they want to weld. So they're there. We currently have 9 that are still in the program, and they can continue next year. The way the class works, it is a 2-year certificate, and now they're behind because the building was not ready. So I have talked to the instructor. He is going to offer the one class that they're missing or will be missing as a summer class. So if they want to take it this summer at Alexander Center, then they will have that opportunity. So then they're caught back up and they can finish their certificate then at the end of their senior year if they were juniors in the program. If they were seniors in the program, then they can finish it at CVCC. We do have a total of 38 pathways that we work with CVCC on. And I'm not going to pull up the website. I have them on the website. But this is just a document of all the pathways that we offer. So on the registration website, I've taken the pathways and I've added, because they can't do this until they're a junior or senior, the CTE classes that we offer that we recommend that they take their freshman and sophomore year so that they're ready for these. So that way, when they're registering for classes as a freshman, if they think they want to do welding technology, they can see that we think they need to take Agri-Science, Ag-Mechanics 1, Ag-Mechanics 2, so that they're ready for these classes as a junior. So this information is available again on the registration website as well as on the CTE webpage. We also have 45 additional just individual CCP classes that students can take up for that are not in a pathway, but if they have an interest in. The counselors go over all of that with the students when they do their individual conferencing. And those are also listed on the webpage so that they can see what's available. There is cosmetology available, so we can sign you up, Ms. Stillwell. I'm afraid you have to drive to the Newton campus for that class, but it is available, so you can see it there. Do y'all have any questions on the pathways?
Well, I have a question of how many students is required to make a class for a class to make, or is it different for the subject?
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously online it doesn't matter.
Right.
But for the classes here that are offered at Alexander Central, they really like 12, but they will do one for 10. Okay. So 10 is kind of just the magic number. And right now we only have 9 in the welding. But because we had 11, they are continuing that. And we should have more than 10 for next year. So hopefully that will work. All right. The last thing on the list is articulated credit. And articulated credit also has to do with CVCC, but it's actually for any community college. What articulated credit is some of the community colleges and the CTE classes, when you have the same class, cover the same curriculum. So community colleges have recognized that and said, well, if you take this class in high school, then that you can get this community college credit for that class. So you start off a little ahead. So we do have a document, and again, this is on the website. I did not put this in your packet either because of the length, but this covers all of the classes that are covered on the articulation agreement. So on my copy, I've highlighted the ones we offer because we don't offer all of them. But I've also gone through on the copy that's on the website and identified what community college in our area offers that class or where they can get that articulated credit, because it may be at CVCC and it may not be. Like Wilkes Community College offers the animal science program, whereas none of the others in our area do. So I wanted the kids to know that, yeah, you can't get it at CVCC, but you can go to Wilkes if you're interested in animal science. So I've included information from CVCC, Wilkes, Western Piedmont, Mitchell Community College, and Wilkes. No, I said Wilkes. You know, there's 5, so that the students know that. Those are the ones in our area. But again, the students can earn that credit. Now, there are some requirements. They must make a B in their high school course. They must make at least a 93 on the post-assessment. And the student themselves has to go to the admissions office at the community college to request the credit. I can't just say, here they are, they get the credit. So when they go to request it, then the college will ask for a transcript or whatever so that they can verify that it's there. But we had 9 students that earned articulated credit last semester, so I've sent them a letter. So actually, I addressed it to the parents because I figure the parents want that information more than the kids. So that if they're going to community college and they want to, they can pursue getting that articulated credit. So we will send out the letter at the end of every semester to qualifying students. So any questions on articulated credit?
So they have to make a 93 on the post-assessment.
Yes, sir.
That's regular.
In order to get counted as college credit, they have to make that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much. Thanks.
She's here. She's right there.
Oh, she's hiding. I'd recognize Macy Jones, Director of Head Start and Before and After School Care. I didn't see you.
Dr. Hefner and the chair and board members, good evening. I think Dr. Griffin is going to help me this afternoon. Every year I have to come before you and present what we call our program information report. In past years, I've presented this information in a different format, and this year I thought that I would just send you the whole document so that you could just see the summary as I receive it and as we put the data into the system, and then it generates this report. So I'm starting on page 15. The first 14 pages talk about staff qualifications, education, and about demographics. So I'm going to start on page 15. To me, this is the most important piece, is talking about child and family services. I believe you're there, Dr. Griffin. So you can see that for the whole year of 2015-16, we served a total of 108 children. Our funded enrollment is 100. So that means that somewhere along the way, we lost 8 children for the year, and those children were replaced. Of those 108 children, 97 children have some kind of Medicaid or public funded health insurance, and 11 had private insurance. These are things that we are required to monitor for the federal government and must put into this report. If you move on down to the medical home, you'll see that all 108 children have a medical home. Some of them come to us using the emergency room, urgent care, or some other source as their medical home, but before they leave, we're supposed to have linked them with a permanent source of medical care. Down at the bottom, you'll see medical services. We have 13 children that have some kind of chronic health problem. That can be asthma, diabetes, blood disorders. There's a range. And of those 13, they all have care plans in place. And our nurse works closely with the nurses in the schools to make sure that we're meeting those needs. If you turn over to page 16, you'll see those lists there. You'll see the asthma, the hearing difficulties, whatever it may be. We also work with our families on a body mass index for children that may be overweight. And so we have programs in place where we work with the Y and with other agencies to make sure that kids are up and moving. So we try to work closely to help children eat healthy and to keep their weight down. Immunizations, we had 106 children that were up to date on immunizations and 2 that were determined to be up to date for that age. That could mean that a family has moved, lost an immunization record, had to start over, and that child has had all the immunizations that they can have for that age. That can mean that they got behind and they had to start over. So that's what you see when you're looking at those 2. Dental homes, 108 children were screened. If you turn over to page 17, you'll see that of those 108, 38 children needed follow-up services. So we have to make sure that at the end of the year that those 38 children have been linked with a dentist and that care and that treatment has been completed. If we put on here that there is a child that has not had their dental services completed, I get a call from Atlanta, from the regional office, And they want to know why did we not have 100% of those children completing that work. Mental health services, we referred 10 children for mental health and wellness services. We consult with McNeil Family Counseling. So we had some children that needed some intervention. If you keep going, just turn on over a little bit more. I'm going through this very quickly. You'll see at the bottom of page 18, we did 108 screenings. Those are brigants where we assess a child's developmental levels to find out where they are functioning developmentally and cognitively. And this also helps whenever they get ready to enter kindergarten, because we share that information with the kindergarten teachers. On page 20, this gets into our demographics about our families. This is some interesting information. Total number of families that we serve from a two-parent home is 61. Have 102 families, so we have some siblings. And two-parent homes, we have 61 children. Those in a single-parent home, 41. And if you go down, you'll see in C36, it breaks it down into who's being raised by their biological parents. 52 children are. You'll see that 6 are being raised by grandparents. Last year, we had some children, and the year before that were being raised by great-great-grandparents. I commend them. It's interesting. They're like in their 70s, and they have these 3- and 4-year-olds that they're taking care of. And then you'll see that we have 3 children that are in with foster parents, not including relatives. So this report does not capture children that are in kinship care. You'll see in C37 that 39 children are being raised by their mother, 2 by grandparents, and then it goes down to other demographics about employment, shows where both parents and guardians are employed, talks about when one parent or guardian is employed. It's like we know their life story before they leave our program. But all of this generates into funding for our programs, and we share this information with other agencies in our county. If you go on over to page 21, you'll see that we have several parents that are in a school. And C45, of the number of two-parent families, the number of families in which both parents or guardians are in job training or school, 25. One parent or guardian is in job training or school, 31. So we need to find out what's going on with the 5. Why aren't they, if they need to be in school or need assistance? This is what our family advocates do. Our family advocates are our social workers, and they help them achieve their goals. Go on over to page 20. I'm gonna just have 2 more pages on here. Page 22, and you'll see at the very top that we have 12 families, somebody that has an advanced degree or a baccalaureate degree. That's C49. Then you'll see that we have 22 that have an associate degree or vocational school or some college, 48 with a high school diploma or GED, and then 15 with less than a high school degree. So the 15 is who we want to concentrate on to help them get those degrees. Then we have the type of services that we provided. You can see the list there on C50 from A through P, just different services that we have provided. Then we have fatherhood engagement activities. We have what we call Due Day at the Rock, where we invite fathers out to a rocky face for hiking, for a picnic. We do a trail walk with them, and it's just centered around fathers. And then we have a picnic at Matheson Park. And then we had a program last year at Little River where we had fathers and their children come in, and they fed them breakfast. Little River fed them breakfast. And so it was just a good day for kids to be with their dads or with their father figure. What questions do you have for me, if any, about this report?
I think I've got one, Macy. If you go back to page 20, something that truly disturbs me in our community, and it's not just Alexander County, it's multiple counties. Your report is no different than what our social workers or anybody else sees, or if you ask what's the number one need is in our schools. It's fathers, it's being the stand-up.
Mhm.
And that has a huge bearing on the family itself, on the kids, their education, their livelihood. When you do the father men out event, what type of turnout do you have on that? Just
It's
curious.
mediocre. We don't have a lot. I'll say out of 100 children, we may have, I'm going to say 15 or 20 families that turn out. And it's not necessarily the fathers that come, it's a father figure.
Sure.
Sometimes. And we acknowledge that because the father figure might be grandfather, might be an uncle, or someone else. Could be a pastor, someone from the faith community. And so we go with that. That's that significant person in that child's life.
Do you try to do those at different times of the day to maybe attract kids at work, if they have different shifts? Do you do those events differently?
Our breakfast was on a Saturday morning. So we had a pretty good turnout there. I think we had probably 20 or 25 people to attend that. And then our due day at the Rock is in the afternoons from 4 until about 6:30 or 7. And we have a trail and a hiking trail, and they can go on the smaller trails, and just a fun time. And then we have the event at Matheson Park, but it's a struggle, but not just for us. So I've read some reports on that we're a fatherless nation because they're missing.
I'll disagree with that report of a fatherless nation, just because I know where I stand. But we are a dadless nation.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Any other comments? Questions?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think you're sticking around for a while.
Am I up next?
I just have one reminder, yes, with the Award of Honor. All I wanted to do was to follow up from the February meeting where I announced that we were taking nominations for the Award of Honor. Those are being accepted through Friday, that's March 17th, and they can be submitted at the Board of Education. The information as far as how to make a nomination would have been in last month's packet. So I just wanted to give a quick reminder that those nominations are due Friday.
The 17th.
The 17th, yes.
And I'll recognize you, Dr. Hefner, for your superintendent's report.
The first thing that I need to mention, and by the way, you do have the attachment in your board agenda, the school system's budget request for the county commissioners is due to Rick French by April 25th. The budget committee is scheduled to meet on Thursday, March 23rd at 5. We will meet in the superintendent's conference room. Lenoir University's 2017 Little Read was a book entitled Beagle, The Unimaginary Friend, and the book was given to all first graders in the school system. All board members and I have been invited to the Little Read's teacher presentation and reception on Thursday, March 30th. That will take place from 4 until 5:30 at the Belk Centrum building at Lenoir. The author, Dan Santat, will be the first speaker, and then he will be followed by 3 to 5 minute video clips showcasing how teachers in each school system taught the book. This year, we're going to highlight Ellendale Elementary's first grade teachers to give the presentation for the school system. Then on April 1st, that is a Saturday at noon, everyone is invited to the Beagle Community Event. It will be held in and around P.E. Monroe Auditorium. I am planning to attend, so if anybody wants to go over with me, I would welcome the company that day. But our top 3 students, their work in both literature and art from each elementary school will be hanging in the lobby of P.E. Monroe, and then I will go up on stage to help as our district winner all of the students who are winners, but then one literature contest winner is recognized. The author will speak again, and the event will be followed by a book signing with entertainment for the children, including a Build Your Own Unimaginary Friend booth. At 2 o'clock, there will be a final performance from LR's theater group of the play that they wrote, and they will perform that. It was based on the book. And I would just ask, if you can, to mark your calendar with both of those events. They are again at LR, and if you don't know where the teacher reception is being held, I think pretty much everybody knows where P.E. Monroe is. But if you don't know where Belk Central is, I would be happy to help you with that. I also am very proud that Dr. Curry, Dr. Maynor, and Mr. Roney will be making a presentation at the Collaborative Conference for Student Achievement in Greensboro next Wednesday. The topic of their presentation is district implementation of a multi-tiered system of support with a focus on secondary schools. They will make that same presentation at the North Carolina Association of School Administrators Conference in late March. Again, both of those conferences are state conferences, so people throughout the state will get to hear about how we're doing that in Alexander County. You have an invitation at your place from Teresa Smeeks for the elementary and middle school Battle of the Books competitions. The elementary competitions being held tomorrow at the pod at the old Head Start building, and then the middle school competitions being held on Thursday at the auditorium. And if you can attend, we certainly welcome you at both of those events. And lastly, kindergarten screening at each elementary school began on February 27th and will conclude in early April. Those screenings are going well and will give us an idea of student numbers for kindergarten next school year. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to unfinished business. We have I would recognize Ms. Mahaffey. We have two sets. I'm sorry, the first set is a second reading of proposed policy revisions as listed.
Okay. The policies that are up for second reading tonight are 3620 extracurricular activities, 5,000 student and community, 5020 registered sex offenders, 5027 weapons and explosives, and 5120 relationships with law enforcement. I heard nothing about these policies. There were no questions.
All right, these are on for a second policy. What's the pleasure of the board? Do you want to approve them on the second reading?
I move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of those 5 policy revisions, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And we're going to move on to new business, which is a first reading of proposed policy revisions in the 6,000 series. I think you all have those in your packet with the strikeout and the footnotes. So is there anything significant that you would like to point out to us at this point?
There were really no significant changes. Most of them were just either legal changes or whatever. The Iran Investment Act that is mentioned there is a federal law, and it prohibits persons to contract. It prohibits us from contracting with persons determined to be engaging in investment activity in Iran. So we have to do several things to ensure that we do not do that.
All righty, we'll bring back those policies next month. I would now recognize Teresa Smeeks, Director of AIG and Advanced Programs and Accountability for the summer school plans for the high school.
I brought y'all if you look at the plan, it is exactly like last year's, except the dates are changed. And he did include this year in the dates, if any seniors need summer school, when the summer school graduation would be held. So maybe you could hold that date, and then if we don't need it, then you have a free day. But if you do, you could be attending. Dr. Hefner attended that last year and said it was really a great thing to be at. So, but we just need approval so that he can do that.
I need a motion to approve the plan as presented.
Move to approve. Second.
I had a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if y'all all want to come out, Ms. Hardis will be moderating at the elementary Battle of the Books in the morning.
I have read my rules.
Ms. Hilton's been over doing them before the meeting started this afternoon.
I'm going to read them again before I go.
Ms. Macy, I got a little confused. I knew you were presenting several things, so we're on new business item C, Alexander County Head Start budget.
Yes, back last year I asked for permission to write a grant to extend our day for 40 of our children. I asked to extend it for all 100, and the Fed sent it back and said, we told you you could extend it for 40 children. So I resubmitted it, and I asked for 262,000. I didn't break that figure down, but it's right at 262,000. And we received notification that we have $223,415. And from that money, we will extend the day for 40 children, and they will go to school until 2:45. What we're trying to do is align our day with the regular school day. And by 2020, we're supposed to offer full day for all 100 children. Of course, that's contingent upon funding. So of this $223,415, that creates 6 new positions. I thought I'd just go ahead and ask for what I wanted. All they could tell us is no. And of this, we will have an instructional coach that will work with our Head Start teachers and our teacher assistants in the classrooms, because we have some challenges with some of our children. And it includes a position for a custodian for Head Start that can help us with needs that we have in our classrooms and on our playgrounds, because we're licensed and we spend a great deal of time repairing things. And then it includes 4 full-time teacher assistants, because the teacher assistants that we have in place right now will have to leave at 1 o'clock on buses to ride as the monitor or the driver. So we need someone else to stay behind with that teacher for those 40 children. We're developing some criteria on how to select those 40 children. We talked about that in policy council, and that would be part of our budget. You also have, as part of your package, you should have had something that said selection criteria, and we have to have this approved as well. And the biggest change on here is where you see it, where it says age, based on age as of August 31 of program year. Last year, that had 4-year-olds receive 400 points. The federal government wants us to start giving preference to 3-year-olds and serving those 4-year-olds in NC Pre-K and other state-funded pre-K programs. So we're ahead of the game. We've been doing that for a couple of years. So we just flipped that, and we're giving more points to 3-year-olds. So that's part of the budget as well. The second piece to the budget is the self-assessment summary, if I may move on to that. You'll see in your information that I kind of summarize the things that we have done from the 14-15 self-assessment. Some of those things we've accomplished, some of those things we have not accomplished. We said that we needed buses. We've requested buses, but we're not sure if we're going to get new buses or not. It's just contingent upon funding. We have 2 buses down, and another one broke down this week. So we're down to really no backups. And we also said that we needed to upgrade our technology in 2014-15. And we're doing that. We have the Hatch tablets, and we have some laptops for our managers, and we're putting some more equipment into our classrooms. Still need to work on our playgrounds. We're waiting on funding for that to see if we can get funding from the feds. If you go on over to your next page, you'll see the 2015-16 assessments. One of the things that we want to do is hold a collaborative meeting with EC, Children's Department, NC Pre-K, Early Head Start, CDSA, other stakeholders to talk about the most appropriate instructional setting for our preschool children. And that meeting is scheduled for May. I think it's the same day as the Special Olympics, I was told, but it's scheduled for May. Again, we want to replace our old buses. Number 3, want to continue learning and cross-training our employments on our data tracking system. And you've had time to look at all of that. And so I won't bore you with reading it, but we have several goals that we want to accomplish going forward. And some of these things we've been working on this year. And I just need for the minutes and for your approval that I have shared all of this with you. You've had the opportunity to ask me any questions.
Anybody have questions or comments? So you don't need us to approve these, is that correct? As far as an action, or you do?
Yeah, I do. It's approval of submitting the budget, and all of this is part of the budget, the refunding application packet.
We've got actually 2 items to approve. If I can combine them in one motion, do I have a motion to approve the 17-18 Alexander County Head Start budget as presented in our packets and the Head Start self-assessment as presented in our packet?
I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, questions? All those in favor of approval of those 2 presentations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Renee, did you all bring these for us? Okay, thank you. I assumed that, but, okay, thank you.
Bridget wanted to start eating before the meeting.
I did.
She might have, I don't know. I want to thank you all for a great first part of our meeting. Can I get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318 11A sub 6?
Oh.
It's okay. I was on a roll. I was on a roll. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're going to go into closed session. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, Renee. Appreciate that.
One of my teachers just.
It is not.
There's no flurries going